Welcome everyone to Mail Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 1, Episode 9. It is called Move Along Home. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. There was some warnings of this episode in advance. Some comments. Maybe not implying it was very good. So we'll get into it. Oh, did Connor love it? Did you love this episode?
No, I just didn't see those comments.
Oh, okay. It's like, how dare they? It's a 10 out of 10. Changed my life.
Yeah, obviously it's 11 out of 10. Thank you very much.
So yeah, the premise of this episode is that a new race from the Gamma Quadrant are showing up for sort of first contact. It's kind of a very formal meet and greet, or so it seems at first anyway. But they're just interested in playing games. So they want to go to Quark's, and they go and they play some games. And then eventually, because they catch Quark cheating at the fancy space roulette wheel, they decide to play one of their own games, which seemingly traps 4 of the senior officers, including Sisko, in like a game world. And little does Quark know that he's playing with them as the players at risk. So that's the gist of the episode. That's what the premise is. How did you feel about Move Along Home for reals?
I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it's the best episode of the show by a long stretch. But I don't think it would have been bad enough to have been warned about in advance.
It's definitely the lowest rate in IMDb. It's got a 5.8. It's
okay.
It's pretty low down there. I didn't hate all of it. I thought there was some good Quark moments that I will praise, but I will say that the actual in-game stuff with Sisko, Kira, Dax, and Bashir, I thought that was a combination of a missed opportunity. This could feel like Cube. This could feel like eerie and surreal, and instead it feels like just one of the goofy episodes from the original series. Particularly when they're doing stuff like the hopscotch moment and stuff. It's just like, this is just silly. You're just making them do silly things.
If this was 5 years later, this episode, in a post-Saw world, this would be a very different episode.
That's more than 5 years. Wait. So it's like 10 years.
When's this?
This is like 94, 95? Maybe even 93, actually.
Alright, it might be about 10 years.
Yeah. So that's 2004, so yeah.
For some reason in my head, this was closer towards the end of the 90s.
No. Well, keep in mind, Next Gen ends in 94, so this must be...
Oh, yeah.
This is season 6.
Yeah, alright. If it was a decade later.
Okay. Yeah, so some of that stuff just came off as silly. It felt like a goofy original series episode, which is weird because this is the show that is going to go more dark and serious than Next Gen is. And this didn't even feel like a Next Gen episode. This felt like an original series episode with its... Even just like the main alien dude, who's an actor I recognize from like small parts. But even like their whole shtick of like playing the game and showing up and just saying "Move Along Home" repeatedly. It all just felt a little bit like...
It was weird because I didn't mind him in the real world, playing against Quark.
And
like just... I kind of appreciate that this first contact is just... No, they're just weird.
Yes.
Right? They're just... Like, they are a bit quirky and goofy, don't get me wrong, but that's okay because they are meant to be different. So that kind of... Them feeling out of place in the show, for me, kind of works.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I will agree, the kind of the in-game versions, that stuff was kind of a bit ropey.
Yeah, the actor was in Stir Crazy, which is maybe his most famous thing. I've definitely seen him pop up in some like TV shows and stuff. He was in an episode of Dharma and Greg. I'm sure I've seen him in maybe another movie or two as well. But a lot of stuff in the 90s and 80s.
Just one of those faces.
Yeah, just one of those guys that pops up in a lot of small roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what I liked about the episode was actually how oddly sweet Quark was a couple of times. When he actually, there's a moment where he kind of realizes that the 4 game pieces are the 4 missing officers, and he immediately says, "Oh, Ordo, maybe you should switch for me," because he's like I
don't want this responsibility.
I don't want this responsibility. And then when he's presented with a choice, because up until this point he's like, "Yeah, I'll gamble for more money. I'll take the risky options." He immediately says, "I'll take the safe path." It felt oddly sweet coming from him that he was actually concerned and wanted to help them and save them.
He took it seriously because obviously at first he has no idea.
Yeah.
So he's not responsible for choosing the dangerous paths at first, because why wouldn't he? Right?
It's just a
It's
game,
just a
yeah.
game. But once he knows, he's like, oh shit. Let's go safe. Yeah. Let's take this easy.
Yeah, part of me would have expected perhaps that he would still want to take the risky option, and Odo would have to like step in and be like, "No, you will not. You will take the." But instead, there was like a camaraderie kind of forming.
It is. And I do like when it gets to the point where he chooses the risky option. It's not played as I can make more money this way. It's a genuine like he actually thinks he's making the right call of getting them safe.
Yeah, and he says that to Odo. So I thought that side of it was kind of nice and sweet, and just more little character beats for him.
Yeah,
mostly Quark on his own, but a little bit of Odo as well. It felt like there should be a bigger deal made out of the fact that like the 4 officers disappeared. Though we got like one scene of Jake telling Odo, and then Odo immediately knows when he goes to see the Starfleet security guy. He's like, "Yes, all the officers are missing," and I'm like, this feels like you could have spent like 10 minutes of realizing one by one they were all gone. And I'm not saying that you'd need to do that, but it felt
but if they did that, we'd probably complain it was repetitive.
I mean, it could be, but you could sort of. I don't know, okay, maybe not one by one, but it feels weird that we skip over the moment where Odo realizes it's not just Cisco. Wait, there's multiple senior officers missing.
Yeah. There's probably like one scene missing, because I think when he gets to the security, he's like, "Oh, where's Kira?" And like, oh yeah, she's late. And he does seem to already know, like, that she's missing at this point. There is probably like one scene where, even if it's just at the end of that scene before, where he's talking to the computer, asking, confirming that Cisco's not on the station, and where that he didn't leave on a ship or anything like that. I think maybe just an extra bit of, are there any other personnel that are not present but didn't leave on a ship? Follow-up question.
I think the even easier way to do it is just that, like, who would he go to next? He'd go to Kira, probably, as next down the chain of command, and be like, okay, she's not here. Right, what the hell? Who else is missing? At that point it becomes, I think there's probably a way to do it. It just kind of felt like, it felt glossed over because it just needed to happen for the premise of the episode, but, what the episode wanted to actually do was all the game stuff that came after. Which is, it's. I think it's just a little too silly most of the time. I did appreciate kind of the meta nod to it, where Kira's like, "This is a bunch of bullshit. Maybe you Starfleet officers think this is fascinating," which I thought was a nice nod to Spock again, making me think this is an original series throwback episode as opposed to anything else. But I'm not Starfleet, so this is a bunch of bullshit. I want nothing to do with this. Like I almost feel like Kira was speaking on my behalf. Like, yeah, we're not really here for this. This is, this isn't even like what I would have said as a good episode of the original series. This is like one of their filler episodes that's just kind of there to make use of sets that they've got lying around.
Yeah, I get away from with that comparison. It definitely does feel like that way.
Not that I'm saying that these sets were lying around and that's the same reason why they did this episode. I'm just saying that that's what it's reminding me of.
No, it's very conservative with its sets, in that obviously it's the same rooms, kind of just redressed for different challenges. But that's just smart budget and set dressing, as opposed to going out. What have we got lying around?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's all a bit fluffy as well, because it's like you never really feel the threat of anything, and then the end of the episode kind of like underscores that by saying, "Oh yeah, they were never in real danger." These aliens weren't like, yeah, they kind of kidnapped them for a brief time, but they were never actually in danger of dying. Like, it was just a game.
Which I kind of like, where they're like, of course it's just a game. We're not savages.
Of course, Cisco's still pissed. He still woke up in a weird place and was held there against his will for a period of time. But
some warning might have been nice.
Yeah, and then actually, I like the stuff with him and Jake actually a little bit, because Jake's like, talking about a girl or something, and he's like, "Oh, you're into girls now? Like, oh, you're growing up too fast." Although when he said he's 14, I thought, wait, he's only just hitting this at 14. This was a bit late.
Yeah, and I'm like, Cisco's been weirdly overprotective. Where it's like, you should be in bed.
He's 14.
It's like he's 14, and he's doing. He said he was doing homework, and you're mad at him. Like,
I was so.
Maybe this is just how we were raised, but you're 14. I was like, yeah, I'll go to bed at whenever.
It sounds more like he's 10 or 11 the way they're talking, as opposed to 14. But regardless, I did appreciate the part though where he's like, "Oh, you're into girls now. Maybe I need to talk to you about that." And he's like, "I already know everything." And then he's like, wait, you know everything from a Ferengi? Oh, damage control time. I need to have a real talk with you now.
Yeah.
And that was funny because that was like a little joke, because if you've been watching Next Generation, especially because obviously that's been, there for the last 5.5 years, is that how Ferengi view women, and how like, oh, that's actually really bad that he's learning about women from him.
Yeah, despite this having more Ferengi stuff already than probably all of Next Gen has had, there hasn't actually been that much on Ferengi with women specifically.
No, a couple of references, but nothing, really focusing on it. So I thought that was a nice that was a joke for the long-term Trek fans, just to get a little chuckle out of it. So I appreciate it.
I think it works regardless, because if you've not been following, Next Gen, and this is where you've started for whatever reason, this kind of fills you in on, okay, this is what you should expect of, his reaction tells you a lot about, their normal views.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I thought that was a nice little slice of life moment. And it was kind of followed up later, where apparently him and his Ferengi friend were just going to go watch like the ships come in, just to see all the girls that come off the ships. It's like, yeah, all right.
And Odo's like, yeah, whatever, come on.
Oh yeah, he doesn't give a shit. He's just like, yeah, off you go.
Yeah, go enjoy yourself.
The fact that your father's missing is far more concerning to me than you being slightly pervy at 14.
Yeah, but again, doesn't sound like he's doing anything wrong.
No. That sounds like you're just like, the equivalent would be hanging around the mall and just like looking around and seeing who you see, whatever. Yeah. It seems innocent enough. Although, admittedly, the Ferengi might be a bad influence.
Quite possibly. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that, like, being an episode at some point.
Sure, yeah.
How are the Ferengi influencing some of the other crew?
It's interesting because obviously in a real world context, it's wrong to say, oh, someone's a bad influence just because they're of another group. But the weird thing with the Ferengi in Star Trek is that, no, it's been made very clear they have very specific views on a lot of these things, and
it is. But I do wonder if that will be the exact angle it approaches it with, with Jake specifically, and Jake being like, hey, no, he's not like that. You can't just brush him under as, oh, he's just a Ferengi. Yeah,
no, that would be a really smart thing if they did pull that card.
Yeah, I would almost expect them to, if that was the angle they were going to, take an episode.
Yeah, maybe have Sisko kind of like, admit his bias or, his prejudice or something, and kind of like, have that, which, could be a very effective story if pulled off right.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just certainly in a meta sense, because he's a black character. You can kind of play with the layers to that a little bit. Obviously, in Star Trek's universe, we don't necessarily see that there's much evidence of like continued racism of that kind, but in the real world there absolutely is. So obviously it's important that this is a black character who might go through that story. So we can do stuff with that. Did you like Bashir being a scaredy cat and screaming in his sleep when he was waking up in the game world?
I thought it was kind of amusing, with him being like, I thought it was in a nightmare, so I was screaming to wake myself up. And they're all like, nah, you're just terrified. Also,
Sisko's pissed at him because he didn't pack his dress uniform.
I did find it quite funny because he's there panicking about it, and like Dax and who else is there?
Kira's there.
Kira are like, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. It's not that big a deal. And then Sisko walks in, and he's like, what the hell? Why aren't you wearing it?
Yeah, that was a good little character dynamic kind of like moment just to establish that. Kira's not wearing a dress uniform, but I guess they just don't have one.
No, she's not Starfleet. She does whatever she wants.
Yeah. Well, that's a moment later on with Odo and the other security guy, where the Starfleet guy's like, that's not Starfleet protocol, and he's like, I'm not Starfleet. It's like, he's got a point.
Yeah.
He's got a point. He can run this station how he pleases.
And Sisko did put him in charge.
He did. He made it very clear that he was the top dog in the security ranks. So, the chump has to accept it. Yeah. Also, they do actually, I mean, they don't specifically say why O'Brien's not there, but they mention that Keiko's away on vacation. So you just assume that O'Brien's with her, and that's why O'Brien's not around.
Yes. Because the school's shut while she's gone, so.
Yeah, because they only have one teacher. So it's like, when she's on vacation, that's the school holidays.
Yes, I did think that was a slightly more interesting way of writing of just because usually it's like our X character's not here for X reason,
Mm-hmm.
but by doing it with or by telling us about her instead, we can infer that that's why he's not there too.
I think it's not a big thing, but it's a nice little touch in the sense that she's often missing for a lot of episodes. She's an occasional guest star, so she always is absent anyway. So it doesn't feel weird to mention her and not show her because it happens a lot anyway. But it does kind of neatly because they could have come up. They could have, Brian's he's fixing something on down in the planet or something for a couple of weeks or whatever.
Which is the standard log line of just he's busy. And this is ultimately not that different. It serves the exact same purpose. It's one line of exposition still. But I think this is neater in that it ties up why Jake's running around doing kind of nothing and explains O'Brien being missing at the same time without referencing him specifically. I think it's just a slightly smarter line of exposition than normal.
I wonder if there's a reason for it. That maybe need to take a little bit of time off, maybe for a movie or for something. Or is it as simple as just he's got a couple of heavy episodes coming up, so they just kept them off.
Could be that,
yeah. Doesn't really matter that much, but
it's TV scheduling. This happens in every show.
Yeah, it was just a curious little point that stuck out to me. Did you like the design of the Waddy?
It's not that inspired, is it?
Couple of symbols on the face, basically.
Yeah, they do a slight bow with a hand gesture.
I think the other thing that made me feel kind of like it was original series-esque episode, like it almost was like a lost script that they've just kind of adapted into a Deep Space Nine episode, is one, how they looked, two, how it functioned with the silly games and stuff inside the game world, but also
you could easily transplant that to godlike being plays games.
Absolutely. Yeah. But also just how they kind of opened this box and magically the table turned into their game with this upside down pyramid looking thing, and I was like, that feels very original series. Just hand wave, they can just do that.
Yeah, it's so back and forth. And I appreciate that they felt different, and because I wanted them to feel different. But then you have that side of things. I like that when they're what have you got to gamble with? We got sticks. You want these sticks?
And Quark's like, not much. I've got plenty of sticks. I'm not in the market for more sticks. I'm okay. Good. How about this nectar? This beverage that goes for a lot.
This booze.
Yeah.
And obviously Clark's like, yeah, booze. And then he tries it. No.
Disgusting. And he's like, well, all we've got left is this crap, and they pour out what's pearls and diamonds, and Quark's like, oh, now this is valuable. Now here we go.
Let's play.
Because he gives him a free spin on the house out of the generosity, the kindness of his heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, it's all a trap to get them hooked in. But then it turns out they're actually very, very good at playing. Even though it's gambling, it's completely up to chance. It looks like it's just roulette. So I don't really know how they keep winning, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, there are specific games that you can stack in your favor, not in a cheating way, but you can... there are things you can do to increase the odds in your favor.
Yeah, play the odds. Yeah, I honestly, they get pissed at Quark for cheating because he tries to cheat when they're winning too much. But
he fixes the machine a little bit, yeah.
But honestly, they're winning so much that I suspect they're up to no good. I suspect they've got some cheating.
I was surprised that they didn't get called out on it beforehand.
Yeah. Very, very fishy, I'll say.
Yeah.
But, hey, yeah. Not a great episode, certainly.
It's not, but I don't think it's quite as terrible as maybe it was made out to be.
It didn't feel like a Deep Space Nine episode. I think fundamentally is where I come down on it. It felt like a kind of a really mediocre original series episode. It had a few character moments and stuff that I liked, but other than that, it was just kind of by the time we got halfway through, I was like, okay, I kind of already can tell how I feel about this now.
It's definitely a very mediocre episode, yeah.
Yeah. So hey, grow on pain. Season 1, we have to get through this shit to get to the juicy good stuff, baby.
Yep, that's the price you pay.
Yep. So let's move along home. Next time on Deep Space Nine, which will be next review, 2 in a row. So we're following the original air dates to a T, and that's just how it is. We had 2 next gens in a row, and now we're having 2 Deep Space Nines in a row. So the next episode is called The Negus. That's Nagus. The Nagus? Or Nagus, maybe?
We'll find out.
I don't know, we'll find out if they mention it. Here's the description on IMDb. The Ferengi leader, Grand Nagus Zek, they'll definitely say it then, because it's his name.
I do, yeah.
Comes to the station. He seems very interested in Quark's bar. I mean, it's one of his own that's running it.
Honestly, already I'm kind of looking forward to this one.
Sure.
You know, a Ferengi deep dive sounds like exactly what would you.
Yeah, and I wonder if Quark ends up going to Ordo or the others as allies because maybe he has some conflict with some of these other Ferengi, and we'll side with him more because he's our Ferengi, you know. He's
exactly.
There's a pun in here because Ferengi sounds very close to friend.
Yep.
There's just my brain's just starting to fire the synapses a little bit.
I was trying to move along quickly so you wouldn't stop on this and spend 5 minutes trying to think of the perfect combination.
Good Ferengi, better enemies. Thank you for being a Ferengi.
You could also do something where split up as like Ferengi is like for something.
Your Ferengi neighborhood Spider-Man. All right. That is the Deep Space Nine episode. We'll see you next time for the next Deep Space Nine episode. So look forward to that. Of course, you can support all the.
Just want to say, I really want to put Ferengi Spider-Man into an AI image generator now.
Yeah, so you can support all the content by liking, subscribing, ding the bell for notifications, but you can do even more so financially. Go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us on a monthly basis and getting some bonuses, including early access to Star Trek episodes, but also other things as well. And of course, you can also do a one-time thing on the super chat, or the super thanks button, I should say, on YouTube. So any and all that is great. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates, and that'll just about do it. So keep watching Star Trek, and I wonder, could if Odo went into the game world, like, could he puddle up? And that's what I'm calling it now, puddling up. Could he puddle up to solve some of the game?
You know why they didn't have him do that, right? The only reason he didn't is because they just transformed into a bridge at the end of the episode, and then what do you do?
That's true, yeah. It's really telling that we didn't even at any point talk about any of the actual things they faced in the game world because they're not interesting. Oh, there's some gas. Oh, the drink's the antidote. Oh, we're in a cavern and things are shaking. Oh, like yeah. That's maybe the biggest fault of it, is that none of the stuff in the game world is remotely exciting or interesting.
It's not, no.
Yeah, okay. There you go. I love how we said that after the outro, but there you go. Bye, everyone. Enjoy Star Trek.